Yay Networks.
Everybody, and welcome to the Real Talk Him podcast. I am so excited that you're with me today. I'm bringing you into my RTK Inner Circle retreat. So every 6 months, I have a retreat, and as many of my RTK Inner Circle, which is my community that God is so trusting me with, come into Atlanta, and for 3 days, we just hype each other up. We get in the presence of God. We push each other to break through and not break down. And I thought it would be so incredible to bring you into our room with a whole bunch of bosses and leaders. That's them that you hear. And I asked some of my people that speak into my life that are part, I call them family, and that minister to me and that I honor and respect. Of course, I honor everybody in this room and respect everybody in this room because it is a yes that changes the trajectory of your life. It is one yes when you want to give up. It is that one yes when no one else is believing in you or supporting you. It's that one yes of you being trifling and ghetto, and one day you say, I'm not going to stay there anymore, and I'm not going to let you keep calling me those names because I'm not who I used to be. And so since you can't forget my past, I'm going to put you in my past, and I'm moving forward. And that's what these people in this whole month, that's what they're going to be talking about, is how they got up. You got to get up. So I want you to do me a favor right now. If you would go subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching it from, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you're watching the podcast, even my YouTube channel, go press the subscribe button right now. Do it right now. Subscribe button. And then I also need you to share this with somebody because somebody needs to hear this. Yo, I believe in telling your story, and the enemy doesn't want you to tell your story because your story is what sets people free. You did not walk through that hell just to not ever tell it again. All right. And so you sharing this broadcast is going to help somebody else not give up. And so if you would be so kind, share it, subscribe, and give me a 5-star rating. I love you. I want you to get your journal, go get you some popcorn, and meet me right back here right after this break. Welcome back, everybody. I am so excited that you've come back and joined me today. I have a very, very, very special treat. One of my favorite humans on the planet.
Oh, you're kind.
I am so stinking proud of you.
Thank you.
And I know you hate to be labeled what I'm about to label you because we just want to be our own person. But she is my spiritual pops, Pastor Rod Parsley's daughter. And we kind of have the same story.
Yeah.
Like, I left your dad. Well, it's 30 years ago now, but he told me I couldn't marry my ex, my baby daddy, and I left and was like, boy, bye.
He said, you're going out of the fire into the frying pan, Kimberly. That's what he told you.
And then Mama Parsley.
She wasn't playing no games.
Oh, God, I'd hear her feet
She
coming
was
up the desk, and I'd be
no
hiding
games.
underneath the desk, like scared to death, like Jesus was coming after me. But I came back.
Yes, you did.
And your father has never let me go.
Yeah.
Your daddy, I'll never forget the first camp meeting I got to come back and preach. I was so scared. I was like, why is he gonna let me preach with 8,000 preachers in the room? I don't hoop. I don't holler. I'm just different. I'm just not like the normal preacher. And your daddy still believed in me, and you and Mama Joni still believed in me. And as you walked up here and sat, I thought me and her got a lot in common.
Yes, we do.
Because you've been in that glass house.
Yes.
And you went away. You ran from God.
I did.
So being, really, he was leading the pack for years. Mm-hmm. He would pack out 20,000 conferences. And how did you, growing up, did you ever have a moment where you were like, screw this?
Oh, so many moments.
Please do tell.
So many moments. Because we're kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Not just because we're cut from the same cloth as far as being at World Harvest Church together for many years, but because we're pastors' kids.
Yeah.
So what you said about the glass house is so very true, because when you are a pastor's kid, you are living in a petri dish. You are living under the microscope. Yep. You are living in the fishbowl. Your life is not your own. And it can prove to be a real pressure cooker sometimes. And if you allow that pressure to get to you, you will become jaded. Yeah. And I have seen so many pastors' kids, ministers' kids, missionary kids, nothing to do with God anymore. Nothing to do with God. Because they think that God hurt them instead of the people.
Yeah.
And I always say the church is a beautiful place. The people in it sometimes not so much.
Yeah.
And people,
because Ashton, I found myself get judged with Christians that say they are.
Oh, absolutely. They'll throw the book at you all the time.
Yeah.
Christians are the most judgy. I'll look right in this camera and say it. Y'all are the most judgy. And I have been guilty of that many times.
Me too.
Self-righteous, on our holier than thou high horse, looking down our Pharisee nose at the lesser, which is completely and utterly the opposite of the Christ that we claim to serve, right? Yeah. So, I had many screw this moments. Yeah. Hurt, mad, angry, disappointed, abandoned. Yeah. Huge feelings of abandonment all the time, because ministry is a revolving door. Yeah. You know, it's a seasonal place. People come in for seasons and then they leave for seasons. You came for a season, left for a long season.
But I came back.
And now you're back.
I'm the queen of repent too. Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Ashton, I will repent. Yeah. I will say, I'm sorry I messed up. Can I come home?
Yeah.
You know,
because that humility is key. That humility is key.
Something about that humility makes you never take for granted when God puts you back in a place. So how did you, because you went to college, didn't you?
I did.
Did you party like a rock star?
I didn't.
Come on,
you know what?
baby, I'm so proud of you.
I really didn't. I did not.
Why didn't you?
I did not party like a rock star in college because I was so focused on my academics.
I love it.
So focused on my academics. My parents were huge about education. Yeah. You know, we own schools. We own a preparatory school, preschool through 12, and then we own a 4-year fully accredited Christian university, of which I'm now a part, which I'm honored to do. Yeah. So I was so focused on school, but I was a flirt. I was a flirt. We'll leave it there.
Not you.
We'll leave it there. You can interpret that as you may, but I was a flirt. So I did get caught up in some mess with, some of the fellas at Miami University, which is where I got.
Because Miami boys are cute.
Undergrad. They were, girl. I spent a lot of time with the football team. I'm gonna be honest. But
you were the voluntary cheerleader.
Right. I was. But what happened, and I was actually speaking with another guest in the green room about this earlier, because she asked me, did you always know you wanted to be in ministry? And I said, absolutely not, the total opposite. It was not in my plan at all to be in ministry. I said, I'm going away to college, I'm going 2 hours away, I'm getting out of the bubble, I'm getting away from my parents, away from these church people, away from my church. And I did that, but then my brother, Austin, my younger brother, Austin, who was diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder at the age of 3, and we've seen miracles upon miracles. That's a whole other
testimony.
Austin
is a whole miracle.
Yes, he is. But he experienced a severe regression when I was graduating from college. So my plan was to go away to get my master's degree. I was just going to, stay in school. And but I couldn't bear the thought of being away from him any longer. So I came home, and at that time, my dad was traveling on a bus with the Valor Christian College students, and on a tour, different city every night. And I said, I'll hop on the bus and I'll go on this tour with you because I just love to travel. And I was talking to some of the students, and I said, what are y'all doing for your welcome weekend? Because it was the summertime, the fall semester was getting ready to start. And they said, we don't have a welcome weekend. And so on that bus, I wrote out the plan for what then became the Move in Madness program at Valor. And next thing I knew, I blinked and I was the director of student life, the director of student housing. And 13 years later, I'm still a part of the ministry.
No, y'all, they have one of the greatest Bible schools on the planet. You can even do virtual. It's called Valor.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend Valor, big time. if you want to further your education, it's credited,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Like it's
Yes,
a
it
legit
is.
school.
Yes,
so,
it is.
All right, just a shameless plug.
Yes, thank you. We love a good shameless plug, girl. Let me tell you, we love it. So yeah, it wasn't in my plan to do ministry, but as we all know, God had other plans.
Yeah.
And my dad always says that it's not always some huge revelation, the heavens open, and doves come flying down and sit on your shoulder and tell you the will of God for your life. He says the will of God is not something you find. The will of God is something you wake up in every day by simply being obedient.
Yes.
So it was a series of seemingly insignificant decisions where I was being obedient to what God was telling me to do in that moment that led me to where I am now.
Man.
So
Y'all. So it's even when you don't think you are progressing, it's just that getting up and moving.
You're either up or getting up.
Come on.
You're never down. You're either up or getting up.
Now in that season, like in any part of your life, I know there's a lot of stuff that comes with ministry. Have you ever struggled? Depression? Have you struggled with
you name
fear?
You name it.
How did you overcome that in the light?
Depression, anxiety, crippling fear, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, ideation, suicide attempt. And that's really when my life took the shift that it needed to take. Because you always say, you've taught us that sometimes you got to hit rock bottom so you can find out who the rock is at the bottom. And that's what happened to me. And a lot of times we think, because we're in ministry or because we're serving God, we are invincible and we are immune to the attacks of the enemy. And it's the exact opposite. The enemy paints a big red target on your back when you are serving God because he doesn't want you to.
Come on.
He doesn't want you to.
Because he knows you're a force.
That's right. Doesn't want you to use your voice, use your testimony. To be that conduit, to see lives changed and deliverance happen and healings take place. So, man, I was angry. I was just angry, Kim. I was so hurt because anger is a secondary emotion.
It is.
The root of anger is hurt.
Yes.
I was so hurt. I've just been so hurt by so many people.
Do you think it stemmed from, because what I probably battle more than anything is the doggone haters. It's the ones that you gave the most to. It's the ones that you spent more time on that they flip on you and then they just, it's like they're getting paid to hate you.
I tell the Valor students all the time, and this is real.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it to discourage them. I just want to be honest with them. I say, if you can do anything else and live, do it. Because ministry, leadership is lonely.
Now,
leadership is lonely.
It is,
especially in ministry. Because ministry is 24/7, baby. There are no breaks. There are no breaks. And if you don't learn boundaries, if you don't learn...
But it's also the most rewarding. So for all your ministry, they're like, I'm never going to get it.
It is. Yeah, I'm not trying to scare anybody off.
But it's the reality.
But it's real. That's the honest truth. So, for sure...
Do you think that stemmed from it? Like, what pushed that button where you were like, I don't even want to be here no more?
So I can tell you, it was cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Was the main.
It ain't no joke.
Yeah, it was the main, because I was working as our social media director at the time. So not only was I responsible for my own social media platforms, because at that time I wanted to be an influencer. This was like 2019, 2020, influencer culture was huge. It was blowing up. Everybody had their own podcast, YouTube channel, brand yourself, bringing big wigs in to have meetings about how are we going to brand Ashton. And the whole time I just felt so out of place and like, this isn't for me, this isn't what I want, but I felt that pressure.
Yeah.
That pressure. And so, I'm on all the social media platforms as well as directing 15 other outlets. And so I'm just consuming all of that noise all the time, every day, all day. And man, people got that keyboard courage, y'all. They get behind those keyboards and they will say the nastiest. And even you've said sometimes it is true. Sometimes, look, we're called to preach it, but we got to live it the same as you.
1988.
Yeah, we got to live it the same as y'all.
Yeah.
We're not perfect people by any means. And so people bring up stuff from your past, people that were in your home, who you loved, used to be a part of the ministry. And then also you got people just saying all types of craziness, made up stuff. And I just was so
And ain't
tired.
it crazy, Ashton, how people that don't even like each other, they become best friends.
They have a common
to come
enemy.
at you.
They have a common enemy, and that's the only thing that bonds them.
Man.
Is that they have a common enemy. And those
And really, in reality, I think the greatest gift for me, Ashton, was I would lay hands on myself every day for probably 6 months. When I walked through my divorce 4 years ago, I got so crushed by people. I was like, how do you not see? It's not their job to see.
Yeah.
Right? When you
Yeah.
walk through something, you will find out who your true friends are.
Absolutely.
They know you by the Spirit. They're not going to believe everything. So let them
Right.
believe what they want to believe.
Exactly.
So you know who not to take with you, right?
Exactly.
So it's almost like if you can get past them, don't read it.
Yep.
Don't send it to us.
Yeah. Please.
We don't want to see it.
Please. Ignorance is bliss in those cases.
Yeah,
Ignorance is bliss.
Don't let yourself. The thing I learned in Preachers of Atlanta, one of the greatest things Willie Moe Jr. taught me was don't read the comments.
Ain't that the truth?
What people think about us is none of our business.
Ain't that the truth?
And so it'll lead to depression.
Absolutely.
It'll lead to, how did you finally climb out of it?
Work.
Because you took off like a year, didn't you, from
I
social
did.
media?
I did. I took a sabbatical. I only have Instagram now. I only have
Because
Instagram.
Facebook is vicious.
It is. And it just, you know what I had to decide, Kim, is what was healthy for me. Because if you're constantly having to take the pulse of other people to determine the decisions you're going to make, you are living a life that is always going to be dependent upon the validation of those people. So I made a lot of people mad.
Good.
I made a lot of people mad, but here's the thing, and my mom and dad would say this, and I didn't even believe them at the time, but they're such amazing parents, and they just said, Ashton, the people that love you always will, no matter what.
That's the truth.
No
And
matter
they do.
what. No matter how you mess up, fall down, make the mistakes, whatever, they will love you anyway.
And y'all would be shocked. They do.
They sure do. And the people that hate you,
They don't go away
will.
either.
The people that
Just
hate you
go.
are just going to.
Yeah.
So stop living your life to try to get those people to like you, because they're never going to.
Ashton, my mama said, we were driving to church today, and she was saying that she was trying to return something at Marshall's yesterday, and we kind of live in the bougie part of town. And so they automatically think we're bougie, so they'll treat us some sort of way sometimes. And the lady was telling my mama, just going off on her, and my mama was like, she made me feel like I didn't even, like I was lying. She said I wasn't lying. And right when you said, I started thinking about Mimi, how she could have taken that thing personal.
Yeah.
But yet she stood right there and returned what she needed to return and didn't let what that lady did to her get inside of her. That's what you have to do. You have to realize this doesn't make my spirit feel right. So I'm going to do what I got to do and exit myself to get them right on out of this situation, because that woman was not going to hear my mama. No. My mama said, I kept giving her explanations, and that lady was not wanting to hear me. There are people that are determined to misbelieve you, to misinterpret you. Yeah. There's nothing you can say. You could be standing right there walking on water, and they would say you're walking on cement. There are people that are going to do that, but you cannot let those people be your value.
Yeah, if they want to misunderstand you, here's one of the most powerful things that I've learned in the past year: let them. Let them. They want to talk about you, let them.
That's been the greatest gift.
Because the apology tours, dead and I'm done with the apology tours. I'm done with the checkups.
You did it, you meant it.
Or you're offended. My dad always says, I'm offended, you're offended. How about that? So yes, to bring it back, suicide attempt, obviously unsuccessful. Thank God. That's a whole other testimony in and of itself. I'd spend a whole podcast talking about that moment. But really what it was, I was just so tired. And the way that the spirit of suicide works is it convinces you of a lie. Because let me tell you, every time I share my testimony about my suicide attempt, I get religious people and people in the church angry at me and telling me I'm preaching false doctrine, because I talk about what I was believing at the time, which was a lie from the enemy that said, if you'll take your own life. It wasn't even about, the movies paints it out to be so dramatic, where you're just, the pain, I can't take the pain anymore. No, I was just tired. I was sick of it, man. And I said, you know what? I just want to go see Jesus.
Come on, baby.
I just want to go see Jesus. I just want peace. That's what I want.
Baby.
I just wanted peace. And the enemy convinced me, just go ahead and do it, because then you'll see Jesus. And people want to argue with me about, well, if you're, it's murder. You're murdering yourself, and murderers go to hell. And I don't want to argue doctrine with you. I'm just telling you what I was thinking.
It's real.
That's why we know suicide is a spirit.
It's real.
It's a spirit. It convinces you of a lie.
Yeah.
And so that's what I wanted. Anyway, didn't happen, but I was in desperate need of help.
Yeah.
I needed help for my mental health. I needed rest. I needed respite. So I did take a sabbatical. I went off social media. I traveled around for 2 or 3 weeks on a road trip, and just did my best to rest and disconnect. And can I be honest with you? It didn't work.
Come on,
It didn't work, because all the same problems were right at my doorstep when I got home. The ministry didn't change. The way that ministry operates and the people in it operate, social media, none of it had changed. I needed to change.
Come on, Ashton. I
thought if I change my surroundings, my circumstance will change. No, I needed to change.
Come on.
And I needed to stop blaming God and blaming others for what I was going through. And yes, of course, there were people that were perpetrating horrible things, but it was up to me. I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
The kingdom of God is not based on destiny. It's based on decision.
Come on.
You had to decide to get up.
Yes.
You had to decide, because you had every reason, and we all could go through the list, the litany of reasons that we have not to get out of bed in the morning.
I mean, today.
Absolutely. But you just make a decision and a determination. I'm not staying here.
So what did it look like? What did that moment when you said I got home and everything was still there? How did you start the process of changing inside?
Therapy.
Come on, talk about it.
Therapy.
Talk about it.
Which again, we don't like to talk about in the kingdom.
I want you to
because
talk about it.
Faith solves everything. Okay, well, if I walk off this stage, fall and break my leg, my faith ain't gonna heal it. I gotta go to the hospital too. We have got to learn in the body of Christ to marry the practical with the spiritual.
Yes.
Absolutely. Touch and agree and pray and have faith and stand on the word and sow and all of those things and fast. But again, if I break my leg, I can pray over it. I can receive healing.
It's still
but
broke.
I got to go to physical therapy.
Even if
right?
it heals. Yeah.
I can't just go right back into the game like nothing happened. And we have, especially those of us who have been through severe trauma, post-traumatic stress, things like that, you have literal brain injuries.
Yeah.
And just like physical therapy will rehabilitate a muscle or a broken bone, therapy will do the same thing for your mind.
Yeah.
And so I was in intense therapy. I'm still in therapy to this day.
Yes.
I go every week.
Yes.
I did group therapy. I had 2 different kinds of therapists. I did go on medication for a year.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get on a soapbox about medication.
It helped.
If it works for you, do it.
Do what works
if
for
it
you.
don't.
Man, I used to preach, let God heal you. Just do it. He's the same yesterday, today, forever. And all of a sudden I was like.
Till you got a headache and needed some Advil.
Until I walked through divorce.
Yeah.
It was like how quickly God will put you in a place to let you see. You better stop judging people for stuff
That's right.
you don't know nothing about.
That's right.
Stop trying to tell people how to tie shoes that you ain't never walked in.
That's right. Yeah, so
Man, I love that, Ashton.
And getting back in church, because what I realized, and again, this was my conviction. This isn't for everybody, but for me, church was my lifeline. Yeah. And I cut myself off from that lifeline because I was hurt by the people in the building. And I wasn't listening to my own advice that I was telling a friend who had been hurt by some folks in the church, and she went away from the church for 5 years. And I kept saying, girl, come back, just come back. She said, what will people think? And I said, are you there for them or God?
And you were.
And I wasn't taking my own advice. But I'm telling her that.
do that.
And then I thought to myself one day, well, what are you doing still sitting here? You watching online. Why don't you get your tail in there? And I did. And man, again, church is just a lifeline for me. That community.
It's community.
That communion with God, because in his presence, it's, we quote this all the time, but it's so true that in his presence is fullness of joy. And that was another thing, is me understanding that happiness is circumstantial, but joy is a spirit. Yes. Because I'm waiting for my circumstances. I'm just so unhappy. I'm just so miserable. I just hate my life. I hate what I'm doing. People are just so mean. Blah, blah, blah. And I, it was like you were in my ear. And for the last 3 years, you have been in my ear. I'm a part of the inner circle. I pay my $20 a month, honey. I tune into the lives. I tune into the Monday nights, the book club. I read the book. I do all the things because you taught me to mourn and move. Mourn and move. You can't just sit on your behind eating ho-hos like you say. You got to get up. You got to get up, and what an appropriate title for your brand new book, because that's what I had to just pick myself up by my bootstraps and buck up under it, little buckaroo. And it's still hard, guys. I have my days, I have my moments.
Yes, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I'm better equipped now that I did the work and continue to do the work practically and spiritually. I'm better equipped now to handle it.
You know where I think people mess up is that they start feeling better, so they stop therapy. They start feeling better, so they let their guard down. That's why you keep going back to the same type of relationship with different faces. You didn't complete the work. Right. It's called maintaining.
That's it, maintenance, yes.
And you are maintaining.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the most beautiful gift. If you've got people in your life that make you feel bad for taking the steps that you're taking to do what you need to do, put them in the balcony.
That's right.
Put them in the balcony.
Yeah.
Because long gone are the days where you got to sit in the presence of people that make you feel like you're not validated to be where God created you to be.
That's right.
Your name is in rooms your feet haven't walked in yet. And it can't happen if you don't keep getting up when you don't want to get up. Yeah. And you know what that also means? That means if you got to go off social media for a minute so you don't bleed on people that didn't cut you, go off.
Yeah. Because I was doing that all the time, Kim. I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize. I was taking all of my hurt, my anger, my frustration out on other people, out on my students even. And I hurt a lot of people in the process. Yeah. But thank God he's faithful, and he restores the relationships that need to be restored. that need to be restored.
Because really the people that love you understand
they do.
Crotchety right now, but she gonna come back with a vengeance.
Yep. The people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind.
Come on. I love that so much. Man, did y'all enjoy that? That makes me cry.
Oh, I love you.
I'm going to tell you, I definitely want you back on a podcast, maybe a few, because all of y'all, I want y'all to come back, because this is something new for me, but it needs to be talked about. This stuff needs to be talked about. I'm sitting here looking at Dana Tate. I'm looking at so many people in this house, Tom, that Christians literally threw them out and said, because of this, this, and this, you should not allow them to be any part of God or Christianity. And the one thing we preach in the inner circle is we love like God.
That's right.
We don't necessarily got to love your sin, but we're going to love you out of the hell that you're walking in. That's right. And we're going to be the president of your fan club. Right. We're going to be your escape and not your duty. And so, you know what, Ashton? Thank you. Thank you so much for getting back up again. I just sitting here looking at you just now. I remember last year you were still coming out. And I was thinking, how beautiful. Last year Dominion Camp Meeting versus this year Dominion Camp Meeting. It's just the beautifulest thing to watch someone that you were still going through it. You were going through hell last year, and you still showed up. and you weren't happy to be there necessarily, but you showed up.
Sometimes you fake it till you make
Y'all,
it.
there's so many.
God makes up the deficit.
Yes. There's so many times I didn't want to get up and preach, and I had to. With the haters sitting right there on my front row staring at me.
Tuned in, they always are.
Yes,
and confused fans, like you said. Haters are confused fans. That was a revelation for me.
They're free PR. They're working for you and don't even know it.
So true.
So thank you for getting up. Thank you for loving me.
Oh,
Thank you for being family. I love your daddy and your mama so much. They're literally like, when my daddy died 3 years ago, Pops was already acting as a spiritual dad to me. I don't know what spiritual dad is. I was just used to my dad being my dad. And so he was the first man that I felt, him and Apostle Ramon, that I felt like I just check in with him. He don't even require nothing. You good, daughter? You acting right? You know? And I just love that. He's taught me how to be a leader. Yeah. And you've taught me how to be a leader and to get up. So y'all give it up for Ashton. Hold on one second. Hold on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send this off to a break, okay? And then I'm gonna come right back and Ashton is gonna tell you closing words. You don't wanna miss this. She's gonna tell you something that God has laid on her heart. I always hate when people do this, but you just tell people, don't you dare give up, whatever you wanna say. So we'll be right back. Go take a potty break. We'll be right back. In 2022, I purchased a brand new home downtown. And I discovered in that season how important it was for me, being the mother of 2 sons, to make sure that I had my estate in order, because you just never know. You know, we build our lives with bright moments of joy, pride, and success. And however you define those moments, securing your future should be part of the journey. Traditional estate planning can cost thousands of dollars, and one-size-fits-all templates may not capture all of the important details of the life you've built. But with trust and will, you can protect your legacy from the comfort of your home, starting at just $159. I had experience with wills because I have done them before. But what I love about Trust and Will is that their website is so easy to use. I am an easy kind of person. I don't like a lot of having to go hunt for things. Their website gives you a peace of mind. Listen, from maintaining the control of your assets to easing the burden on your loved ones, an estate plan can ensure your family stays prepared and protected. Prepare and organize your documents all in one place for easy everyday reference or emergencies. Hundreds of thousands of families and counting have used their expertise for estate planning. Gain peace of mind today with Trust and Will. Get 10% off plus free shipping of your estate plan documents by visiting right now. Y'all, this is so important. Visit trustandwill.com/RTK. That's 10% that you're going to get off and free shipping at trustandwill.com/RTK. I'm proud of you for taking care of your future. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the incredible podcast. I'm so excited that we're here. I'm going to close out with this. Y'all ready for this? I want to ask you to tell the people right now, somebody that is literally struggling, that have been in hiding, because there ain't nothing like a divorce. There's nothing like losing everything. There's nothing like loving somebody that didn't love you back. There's nothing like feeling embarrassed and shameful that makes you want to go isolate in your room. I want you to give that person encouragement right now.
Absolutely. I would just say exactly what Real Talk Kim says, and that is mourn and move. Just get up. Put one foot in front of the other and just live. Just live. And don't let the shame and embarrassment that you feel because of what you've gone through, your past, your trauma, keep you from living out loud. You don't have to be in hiding. That's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to stay in hiding, wants to silence your voice. He wants to keep you from making the decisions that God has predestined for you to make so that you can walk in his calling, in his power, in his might, in his strength. And also, don't give up on God. Don't give up on God because the people of God have hurt you, because he never has and he never will.
I love that. So good. So basically, y'all, this whole last 2 weeks with Miss Angie and Miss Ashton, y'all need to go get Miss Angie's books. You need to go follow Miss Ashton on her only social media platform. But if you want more of her, you can sign up for Valor and you can get the oil that is dripping, because listen, she is a boss up there teaching. You're training preachers and apostles and worship leaders, and that is
ValorCollege.edu if you want information about that. WHC.life if you want information about World Harvest, and Instagram only at Ashton Parsley.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I love you so much. So y'all, thank you for following me. Make sure you push that subscribe button. Make sure you're sharing this podcast. Somebody needs to hear this word. You gotta get up. I love you guys. See you next week.
Yay Networks.